David, this dramatic drop in the economy recorded by NZIER occurred before the Christchurch quake and snowstorms that wiped out lambing. Yet John Key claims his tax cuts will overcome all of that and turn the economy around this summer. How is that going to happen?
Well, because rainbows and ponies are going to fall across the nation, and they're going to have export value, and we're going to restore our. I mean, it's that kind of fanciful notion that the National Party have in the potency of tax cuts. There's only so much they can do, and that you're asking an awful lot of them there, and I don't think they're up to it. You know, what we need is to be exporting it in a volume that we're simply not managing. Where is their strategy for re-engaging our export capacity?
Do they have one?
Well, I keep asking various people, senior people in the National Party, when I get a chance. You're supposed to have been coming up with this strategy for making the most of the export deal with China. Where is it? And they say, oh, it's coming. It won't be long now. But there's still nothing. We're nearly 2/3 of the way through there.
That's right.
And they're exporting jobs over there too. I just heard that the packing and so forth of the kiwi fruit, that's not going to be done here anymore. They're just going to send it bulk over to China without it ever being processed here. So you're wondering, well, I mean, they're physically exporting things. They're potentially, with this trade agreement they've got, they're potentially importing people as well. I'm seeing the aquaculture and so forth. Well, what's to stop them having a boat coming over with all of their staff on their weights and rages under our current system, and just packing them all and scalping them or whatever
for the primary resources,
and they can.
This is a really good example of what we were talking about a moment ago with the media strategy with Paul Henry. You know, it's all safety first. Do the least.
Why isn't John Key being asked these questions by anyone who interviews him?
Because he only goes to the place where they puff up his cushion.
Tim, Ireland's austerity cuts aren't working, and they are the first canary in the global coal mine to signal a double dip as they fall back into recession. Will New Zealand follow? Will we have a double dip recession?
Yeah, we can't even hear the squawking of the canary anymore. It's fallen so
dead.
far
It's
and
so
dead.
quiet.
Exactly. And our basics are that we have got a double guarantee de facto with the Australian government on our banking system. And that's basically what it comes down. That's our bottom line. And that's a good bottom line to have, as long as China keeps up demand. You know, it's all prefaced on ifs of other things, and that is circular and goes around. So if one will fall over, the other will fall over. As long as China's strong, Australia's strong, we are relatively strong, and our currency is sort of showing that at the moment, I think.
David, Treasury advised the government to force all sick, crippled and mentally unwell New Zealanders back to work this week. Why are the weakest members of society bearing the highest cost for a global recession that was caused by greedy merchant bankers in America?
Let me check. Who did we vote for last time?
Ah, that's right. That's right. Silly me. Silly me.
It's funny until you get from time to time little pieces like this that make you think it's Jenny Shipley's and Ruth Richardson's prescription all over again. But then you get another dimension, and that is stepping in for the Peter Jackson dispute this week.
Corporate welfare.
Nothing
so much as the 70s. You remember when you had a national government then, they would say, farmers are the backbone of the economy, and if the freezing workers are on strike, well, whatever it is, they're wrong because we've got to protect the farmers. You know, my farmer's right or wrong, and now it's my filmmaker right or wrong. You know, it's the
class.
Class,
well,
isn't it?
There's that too, and but mostly, look, the thing that I maintain about this government, and I still say it, is that they'll be remembered in the end not for what they did, but for what they failed to do. They're cautious to a fault. They want to stay sweet with the people. They've got a leader who doesn't want to fall out with anybody. He doesn't want to fall out with a bigot on TV.
You could say the same thing about the previous Labor government.
Yes.
That's the troubling
thing. A question to both of you. Is the government in denial about the economic recession, and how does domestic low-tax deregulation free market dogma solve a global crisis caused by low-tax deregulation free market dogma?
I'd say they were in denial about the bubble.
Yep.
And now they're in denial about the bubble having burst and how it's not reflating again.
I look back at the first 10 years of this new decade, this new millennium, and I think, what apart from maybe the iPhone and the iPad would you want? Would you lose if you reset and said, let's do it from 2000 again? Nothing else has been good. Bloody Bush, bloody Iraq War, and an insane lending bubble that has left us with all of this.
Britney Spears.
Yeah, Britney Spears, awful, awful.
One good song by Christina Aguilera.
Who wins, Tim? It was dirty. Who wins? I love that video. Who wins, who loses by John Key's optimism in the economy?
We're not facing up to reality. That's the problem. But the dilemma for any leader in that situation is that they can't be negative. Because if they go negative and the Treasurer goes negative and starts weighing up what is reality out there, then that's negative for the economy. It will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the problem in a recession.
David, who wins and who loses by John Key's optimism on the economy?
Everybody's kids lose because we want new jobs and we want careers and we want them to stay here. And that's the thing that Don Brash and Key have campaigned on, that you want jobs for your kids. Well, where the hell are they going to be when the absence of any strategy apart from saying, we'll cut the tax and everything will work out for itself? It won't.
Thank you, panel. Coming up, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch all go to the polls to elect a new mayor. Who will win? Citizen A is back after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Citizen A. We're reviewing the week with bloggers Tim Selwyn and tweeter David Slack. Issue 3 this week. The Mayoralty races are almost over. The Wellington race failed to capture any imagination. The Christchurch race became infamous for whale oil sleazy editor Jim Enton saying something he didn't. And the Auckland Super City race looks like it could be a landslide. Tim, John Banks says he doesn't want to have... Yes, it could be. John Banks says he doesn't want to have South Auckland replicated across the city. Has John Banks been watching too much Paul Henry?
Well, he's certainly been taking some interesting advice about the efficacy of negative politics and really going for it as far as that key messages to crystallise down to the last days of your campaign. What are you all about? It goes down to Len Brown, I'm for unity and one Auckland, etc. And inclusiveness. And then John Banks, don't want a Labor mayor from South
Auckland. We all know what that is.
And that's what it came down to. He went negative in the end. We knew he would. We knew he would. We just needed the issue about where he would go. Okay. So a dog whistle on race, basically.
Yes. David, could Len Brown work with citizen and ratepayers members on the council, or will bickering make it impossible to force the CCOs to do the will of anyone other than Rodney Hyde and Stephen Joyce?
I don't know. He can work with Dick Quacks. This is his strength. Finding some way through with people. So if anybody can do it, can manage that, I think possibly he can. But yeah, you're quite right. It's hard, and you got to remember they've got, although 60% of their budget is on transport, it's still the lion's share is still what comes from Wellington. Huge, and it does, as you say, depend on Stephen Joyce in the end. What I'm hoping is that there will be some really good work done on the corporate statement of intent in the Transport CCO that will work as a kind of a constitution that says, or a charter if you like, that says, we want to see this and this and this and this and this done, and you make them specific. You don't say apple pie, we want rail to the airport in 20 years. You actually want to get quite specific. And if you can get that in there so that then the Transport Agency is working to it, that in turn has to say to Land Transport and to Joyce, well, no, this is our agenda, this is what we want to do, and this is what we...
But there is 20-year plans and stuff from the Auckland Regional Transport, and you go way back.
They've ignored all of those.
Because of the funding and where it's coming from, who's holding the purse strings.
So it's Wellington dictating to Auckland once again, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Potentially it is. And I would like to see a good fight prosecuted over the Holiday Highway. There's a really good argument that says instead of the 1.8 billion they want to spend on it, you can do it for about 200 or 300 million. Make it safe in the way it's necessary to do, achieve most of the aims, but not blow all that dough, and that would give you the money you need to do the inner city loop.
Tim, if Len Brown wins by a landslide, when so many polls, I hope that is, that's my call, when so many polls put them neck and neck, does this call into question those polls claiming National have over 50% of the popular vote?
Well, how popular is it going to be? What's the turnout going to be? Is it just going to be a tick over 50% maybe? Which I think is quite impressive in an Auckland sense, because a lot of the population who are registered to vote...
don't bother.
Or don't bother, but they're not from Auckland and they're not even from New Zealand. So a lot of them don't have the knowledge or even the language to identify them. So already we have a situation where it's not really going to be 100% turnout anyway, as the maximum possible, right?
Yep.
So if we get to 50%, that is actually a really impressive figure, and Len Brown is going to be very happy and comfortable at 50% turnout.
It's going to be entertaining to see if this is a third defeat for Michelle Bogue in her glorious career. She, I'm thinking in particular of failing to rescue Faye Richwhite from infamy in the wine box hearings, and then leading National Party to its worst post-war electoral defeat in 2001.
Let's hope that National keep her on. If John Banks loses heavily, if he does...
that you hope he does.
Come on, come on! What will Aucklanders be saying to the government about the Super City?
Well, transport is what matters to them more than anything, and I was going to have a rave about this at the end, but maybe I'll do it now.
Oh, no, we've got plenty of time.
Yeah, let's have a talk about transport then, Dave. I reckon the only way to do it, recognising that you do need a 20, 30, 40-year plan, and the way they did it with the Auckland Harbour Bridge, someone goes in there and says we need its own mandated legislation to do a very specific job, very specific reason, over a very specific period of time. As it so happened, they gouged us on the tolls anyway when they didn't need it. But over time, you can plan and fund something, and then it's complete, and we finally get it done. But if we have a situation where every single year it's Transit New Zealand or someone in Wellington deciding what gets what, it's not going to be an Auckland plan, it's going to be a Wellington plan.
Yeah, it's a Wellington plan, not an Auckland plan.
Yeah, and it needs its own legislation. But under this umbrella of this transport nebulous agency, half of them or whatever are appointed by Rodney Hyde.
I like that very much. A few key projects that get their own
I
legislation.
don't believe in integration like that, because if you say, I want to build rail, we know how to build rail stations, electrify, that's it, go for it. Because if you start having a situation of cutting that pie, the rail will always have a very thin slither, and it will never get done. And that's the problem.
That's right. And who wins? I've got to wrap this. Who wins? Who loses in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch? What you call Auckland?
Landslide Len.
Landslide Len. Wellington.
And Wellington, I'm wondering if Celia Wade-Brown might just get a whole lot of second choice that actually puts her over the line. But I don't know.
Yeah, because STV voting there, isn't it?
Yeah, STV. That's
Christchurch.
Right. Orange Man. You know, by that I mean Bob in his safety vest. So
is Bob going to take it?
Well, it certainly seems to have pushed him way ahead. People love to be reassured in a crisis, and even though they may have
really disliked him beforehand,
had second thoughts, I think there's those poor bastards down there are still getting knocked around and.
So in their confused state of concussion, they might vote for Bob.
Right, so in concussion they might. Tim, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch.
Well, just starting on Christchurch, I think Bob Parker's done an excellent job at the TV management, and you hear him, and he's such a professional.
So good.
He's so in control, and he's smooth and blah, 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 and he's just going there. And yet people said Giuliani, and I'd say, Giuliani-esque scenario.
But Giuliani, of course, lost.
It was also theatre, though.
And when he was trying to go for re-election
because of the prostate problem.
Was it?
Yeah, in the end. But Mexico City took him on as apparently appointed him to crack down on broken windows. And
Wellington?
Hasn't worked, though.
Wellington?
Hasn't worked.
Wellington?
Wellington, this Wade Brown person, I think because of STV, and Wellingtonians love the fact that they do things a little bit differently. They elected Richard Preble, after all. They've elected the bouffanted one out there in Rosario Belmont. They've done crazy stuff before and they'll do it again. Why not tick 2 or whatever for this Wade Brown character and not for...
Auckland, what do you call?
Auckland, well, with this high turnout, I think Len Brown would be looking very, very comfortable at the moment. And all of that money and stuff that John Banks has thrown out, oh my God,
it makes me so happy. Let's wrap the show with the last word. Tim, your last word this week is?
Well, based on infrastructure, there's rollout standards of the fibre optic network that the government, i.e. debt and your taxes, are paying a lot for, and the standards of how they're going to be rolled out across the country are going to be set, I think, in Auckland very, very soon. The tenders close. It's important to get it right, because at the moment they concrete a footpath, right? That's a 40-year lifespan. All of those power lines representing a monopoly that you can't break are up there. So the unfortunate thing is going to be, if you've got a footpath that was built yesterday, you're going to wait 40 years before you get cable underground, maybe including the fibre optics. That's all I'm saying. We've got to get it right.
David, your final word?
In 12 seconds, I'm going to give you a plug for a website, easytransportauckland.org.nz. Go and have a look at it. It's a proposal by Cycle Action Auckland, Living Streets, to say, make a better Auckland in transport.
Excellent.